Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. Are we live? Can people hear me? If you are on YouTube, let me know. If you are on Twitch, let me know. If you are any of the above.
Yes, we've
Okay.
got several channels going. It's a technical feat among
Yes. All
these
right.
writers.
It looks like I got a yes from Tim, who's watching over on YouTube. So fingers crossed,
Perfect.
everyone. Fingers crossed that we're going to get this one to work.
All right. So we made a cute PowerPoint. I
We did.
know.
Well, Asa made a
Okay,
cute
it's
PowerPoint.
slides. It's slides, folks. We're dating ourselves, and I'm gonna put that up, and we're gonna get into it. Okay, let's write a ghost story, y'alls. July 18th, 2025. Our goal is to have a draft of a piece of flash fiction by the end of this workshop. We can all do it here as accountability partners, fellow writers in the same space and time, making amazing work. Welcome. Let me go to the next slide.
All right.
Okay, so walk through what you can expect a little more precisely. What's a ghost story? General ideas. We're going to analyze the published story. Today's submissions call is for an outlet called Flash Frog. This is a very sort of prolific publication. It pays $25, a nice, competitive, prestigious contest. Let's aim for the stars. We are going to share the specifics around how to submit to that as we get through a prompt. Sarah has generated a very fun visual prompt in case you need some inspiration. So once we get to the live writing portion of the workshop, that'll be available. Sarah and I are going to maybe read our first sentences, talk about how the writing went, reflect a little bit on our drafting, and then at the very end, we are going to conclude with specific instructions on revision and submitting your piece.
So this is the whole package, everyone. This is you're going to learn a little bit about flash fiction and ghost stories in particular, and then we're going to actually do the thing. Like this is all inclusive. So I'm very excited. Also, I think that on my channels, I didn't get the chance to introduce myself.
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
Sarah
Sarah.
Werner. Oh, no, you're absolutely fine. I'm the one over here with all the technical difficulties. I'm Sarah Rhea Werner. I am a writer and podcast producer. I produce Girl in Space, which is an audio drama sci fi. And then I also produce my partner Tim's show, Omen. And Asa, can you introduce yourself just quickly one more time for the folks on
Yes,
my
yes, hi.
side?
Yes,
Thank you.
I am a writer, a lover, a father, a citizen. I wrote 6 sermons, which is a Audible original. It's a series. It sounds like a TV show. You can go listen to it on Audible, starring Stephanie Shue from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And I'm here on YouTube, inspired by writers like Cody the Writer and several others on AuthorTube, as it were, because now I'm writing fiction, which is new territory for me. And that's kind of the project of my YouTube channel. Moving forward,
Look at this.
objective. We talked about the objective: finish a draft of a flash fiction ghost story. Intro to ghost stories. Okay, so tropes. This was something that you mentioned, Sarah. Do you want to talk about what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are commonalities in different genres of stories. One of the easiest ones I can point to is the romance genre, which has sort of an expected flow to it. It has certain points that you expect people to hit when they're writing romance. So this is not romance, this is a ghost story. And so things are a little bit less structured here. And so what we're looking for is obviously you want to include some kind of hint about a ghost. Now, ghosts come with all sorts of different types of tropes. Tropes are, I'm not going to be able to pull the exact definition out of my brain, but basically, a trope is different from a cliche. So, a trope is something that has been established in the genre. So a trope for a ghost story is I'm going to spoil a 20 whatever year old movie, but um the trope in The Sixth Sense is there's a little kid with superpowers who can see ghosts. That is something that, we see in a lot of ghost stories. One person can see ghosts, nobody else can, nobody believes them. That's a trope. But M. Night Shyamalan subverted that trope by making. Okay, ready? Spoiler alert. You can mute me if you don't want spoilers for The Sixth Sense. That the person who he has been working with, played by Bruce Willis, is actually a ghost. And so tropes are really fun. So they're established things that we kind of know to expect. Just even for like a haunted house story, someone opens up the basement door and starts walking down into the basement. That's a trope. And what does that spur in us? Like I literally will yell at the movie screen, "Do not go down in the basement." And it's become a trope. It's become something we expect. We know there's nothing good in that basement, and we know there's probably going to be a ghost murder of some sort that's going to happen down there. Um, but those can be really fun to subvert. And so, looking at tropes, they are not bad things. And I really want to hammer that home. Often, if we rely on cliches, which are non subverted tropes, we can get into a little bit of a rut creatively. So, does that all make sense so far?
I love all that. I think
Okay.
that's fantastic.
Okay, I get really excited about this stuff. And if you're ever worried that what you're writing is a cliche, all you have to do is step back and ask, what if? So, what if instead of this, this happened? Just real quick, something that I like to do is I make a list of expectations for a certain plot point. So, oh, this character is going to walk into the basement. So, what if there was a ghost down there? But what if there wasn't a ghost down there? Or what if the ghost was the ghost of a kitten? Or what if the ghost was a serial killer who is trying to reform himself? And then you've got a whole character arc going on. And so the what if exercise can be a really fruitful exercise if you are comfortable just letting your imagination go.
Love, love. Okay, folks, this is serious. We're in business. This is real deal stuff. I love it. We're gonna keep firing down this list and then move into an actual story that we can apply these ideas more concretely. Write what scares you. This is classic horror writing, suspense writing advice. If you can have the experience of fear as you're drafting, if you can imagine objects, feelings, use all your senses when writing scary stuff, things that smell scary, sounds that are specific. Uh, all this will enrich your piece. High concept meta. So I'm so glad you brought up Sixth Sense, Sarah, because Sixth Sense, perfect example of this. Dramatically inverting an expectation where one of the protagonists is a ghost that's then revealed. This is not a gothic style ghost story, Sixth Sense. Similarly, we're going to see that this very contemporary ghost story that we're going to read today um, similarly messes with that. So, at this point, I think in the game, we've been told thousands and thousands of ghost stories. I really, especially with a flash fiction process, especially if we're going to be strategic about getting publishing, this particular outlet seems to delight in inverting expectations, going high concept. That is something you can do. TK is some journalism jargon, stands for to come, but I can't edit the doc right now.
Oh, I was gonna
Restraint.
ask you because that's my partner's initials.
Oh, no kidding.
And I
Yeah.
was like, oh,
so,
are we bringing
so
in Tim?
yeah. So
Okay.
now our guest, Tim. Restraint. So less is often more in ghost stories, right? As opposed to say something like a monster. If you think of the movie Alien,
Mm.
once Alien finally comes out, which is important to note that the monster doesn't appear for some time, but once the monster does come out, it's wildly specific and vivid. In a ghost story, perhaps it is more effective to linger on the edges, touches of
Mm.
description, activate our imagination. This is literature, fiction, rather than film. So, an important consideration, potentially less is more. I love that what if exercise. This is something you could do while writing or certainly while revising, is if you have a vivid, specific, concrete detail about your ghost or about your supernatural entity, you could experiment, remove one of the clauses, pull a little bit back, make the camera, as it were, a little blurrier, and see what happens. That could be a cool little experiment. Lack of control. If your character is afraid, they don't have control of the situation. This is kind of just a useful little thesis that you can think of. A fear of the unknown is the greatest fear of all, is a tried and truism. Take for what you will. What the closed door is scarier than what's behind the door, says Stephen King. So think along these lines, think restraint, think impression, think suggestion, and use images that activate our imaginations. Base rules of reality. So this is kind of if you're going for a more traditional ghost story, then it's important to establish that the world in which the story takes place is the quote unquote real one.
Mm.
Excuse me, in the sense that ghosts are not real. I believe in ghosts, so to each their own, but be considerate and specific and deliberate around what is real and what is other. Specificity, precision there is going to elevate your ghost story. All right. Today's reading is called This Is Not a Ghost Story by Corey Fahrenkampf. I'm going to put that link in the chat right now. I love that you're all here for this.
Hi, while Asa's bringing that up, I'm seeing so many lovely, wonderful people in the chat. Hello, welcome. We're so excited you're here. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, we plan to do this every Friday. So, Flash Fiction No Excuses is a tentative name for this. Just show up and
Let's
write a
just,
flash
yeah, flash fiction, no excuses.
Flash Fiction. No, yeah. So welcome, welcome. All right, moving forward, case study. All right, so here's our case study. Okay, so I had intended to write as I go here, but we'll see if I can pull that off. Let's talk about this story. Okay, folks. So I sent the link to the story. It's very short. You can read it as we connect here, as we talk. I'm just going to read the first sentence for fun. Years back, Tyler dropped Jen off each night before his pizza delivery shift. The rutted dirt tracks cut between twin swamps. Lily pads and snapping turtles clustered along the banks. Cedars grew sparse, roots left to keep the road from washing out. Only one house stood at the end of the lane. The porch light glow was their North Star. So, Sarah, let's just riff on this story. What did you tell me about this story? Actually, are you capable on the fly here?
Mhm.
Can you paraphrase this story?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Um, so this is an extremely short flash piece, which I think was part of the reason that I really enjoyed it was it accomplishes so much in so little. And that's just such a key point of flash fiction. There are fighter jets going over, so I hope the mic's not picking that up, but that's fine. So basically it is hinted at in sort of a non-linear fashion that oh, thank you. Asa just put the link up here. I hope you can all see it. You can also just Google Flash Frog. This is not his ghost story. And it's interesting because the narrator here, Corey, which Asa just read, that first sentence, it's from his point of, or excuse me, Corey is the author, Tyler, from his point of view, is a pizza delivery guy, and he has a girlfriend, Jen. And about halfway through the story, there's just a single line that says, and now she's a ghost, obviously. And then it's so meta. And again, this is what Asa was talking about earlier with playing with these tropes. There's three singular lines, if you're reading along, that say, and now she's a ghost, obviously. Next line, this is a sad ghost story. Next line, there's no other outcome. And it basically looks at what it means to be a ghost, and it sort of idealizes the situation of being a ghost, and it talks about all these different things that Tyler deals with in his life, and then it talks about how Jen. So it says readers usually feel bad for Tyler, for Jen. He lost the girl he loved. She never got to live her life. But really, readers should feel glad for Jen. And this is literally the author of this story telling us how to feel, but it does it in a way that really works with the story. Um, and really, what it does is another thing that I really enjoyed about this story was that it's very relevant to right now because my heart went out to Jen and Tyler when I was reading this. I'm going to read one more small excerpt here. Uh, Now, Jen gets to be a glowing fairy thing that chills in a swamp all day, not worrying about the world falling apart. She's not endlessly scrolling through social media, reading one atrocity after the next, as she tries to decide which anxiety medication has the least terrible side effects. It's just so, it's using this beautiful, sort of ethereal atmosphere to talk about something that I think a lot of us are experiencing right now. And it was so grounded and so surprisingly relevant for a ghost story. That just I don't know, I really enjoyed the juxtaposition there because a lot of ghost stories are historical and they focus on the past. This one is focusing on right now. So there's again, this is a very short story. Like the whole thing can almost fit on my phone screen. And it does so much that's worth commending.
Agreed. Agreed. It not only has this high concept, break the third wall, as it were. This is a sad ghost story. The authorial voice just breaking out and telling us what this is, this like kind of exquisite meta moment, and not has all that the way Sarah articulated right there. It also does include some classic ghost story stuff. You know, the first third of this piece, if you caught those early senses, it's highly descriptive, highly evocative. We're getting these amazing images. The windows are broken, the roof caved with black shingles surrounding a collapsing aperture. We're getting the sense of haunting, we're getting vibes, and the ghost is really sort of specifically coolly wrought. You know, I have a cool image of this ghost. She's spooky, she's walking on water in the swamp. So it's saying something, it's riffing, it's like breaking expectations from a narrative point of view. And I think ultimately it after that section that Sarah just read, where it sort of asserts the advantages of being a ghost, how that frees us from the sort of tyranny of modern life, it returns, I think, in a lot of ways to this classic ghost story mode, and
Mhm.
the character itself starts feeling fear. Remember that if your character is truly and genuinely wrought and you articulate them genuinely feeling fear, then we're going to feel fear also. And that's kind of exactly what happens here at the end. Um, he puts his car into reverse, following the artificial glow of the strip mall on the horizon. The halide lamps are so bright he can see them above the cedars. He wishes this was his ghost story, but it's not. Maybe next time, he says. So, yes, again, like specific, cool, concrete, evocative details situated directly in the protagonist experience. This is great stuff. Read this story in full in the quiet with your lamp later and open yourself to this. It is a great case study. Flash Frog has done several of these similar yearly competitions, so there's all kinds of resources out there to prepare. Moving forward.
One more thing, can I
Oh,
pull
yes,
up just
yes,
one
yes,
more
yes,
thing?
yes,
I know I wanna
yes.
keep this on
Love,
schedule
love.
too, but, Asa, one thing you and I talked about off screen a little bit earlier was the importance of the title and how much heavy lifting that does with a flash fiction piece, because with flash fiction, you're usually limited to about 1,000 words or less, or fewer if you're being grammatical. And the title does not count. And so I'm not saying to like bloat the title to like a whole paragraph, but you can do a lot of powerful things, setting expectations, establishing tropes, or even establishing a point of view or a twist that will later be revealed. And so the fact that this story is called This Is Not His Ghost Story, it does a lot of heavy lifting just even before we start reading that evocative first sentence. So we wonder whose story is it? Why isn't it his story, etc. So I just wanted to say that that title, I really liked the title. I thought it worked very effectively in this story, and it's something to keep in mind while we write our own stories.
Great. Which brings us to
Ah,
that time. So we're going to write for 50 minutes. I failed again to figure out how to do the little running clock. I will
eh.
do that for next week, I promise. Yes, so we're gonna take this time to write. Let's put our head down. Let's get down to business. Here are this is the specific instructions from this particular submission call. By the way, the deadline is July 31st, so you have just enough time to really get this to where you want to be. It's that time of year again when we start hunting for flash October stories. We want traditional ghost story. We want traditional ghost stories that scare and haunt. We want completely unconventional ghost stories that make us rethink what a ghost story could be, and everything in between. Please read guidelines below and then haunt our inbox. Yes. So, are we ready? Is that where we're at? Oh my God, the prompts.
Oh
Talk to
wait,
us. Prompts. We have prompts. Sarah, take it away.
So, I really like visual prompts. I feel like they leave more room for interpretation, and they tell you less. So I have two prompts here because I'm that person and I couldn't pick just one. So on the left side of your screen here, you see a sort of, it looks like it's on maybe a CRT monitor or an old sort of pixelated screen of some sort, but it says three times, I exist, I exist, I exist, superimposed over a desolate street with one street lamp. So, if that sparks your imagination, I encourage you to write about that one. If it doesn't, then the one on the right is sort of an abandoned Victorian era sitting room. It is covered with moss and lichens and vines. It's overgrown. It's just like very messy. I was gonna say distraught, but that's weirdly emotional for this. There's just debris all over the floor, and I think it evokes a sense of abandoned place that could be really interesting to explore. Now, you do not have to use either of these prompts. These are just here if you are feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to write a ghost story. Where do I even focus? Because there's such a broad, like last week we did Weird Wild West, which I felt was a lot more narrow with parameters about like elements that you could put in, but ghost stories could be anything. So these prompts are here if they are useful to you. You can go ahead and choose one that resonates with you and write about that, or write about whatever is in your brain vis-a-vis ghosts.
Okay, good luck, everyone. We will regroup in 45, 50, 55. We'll see how the muses come. Minutes. Happy writing. Till then.
All right, and I'm going to mute myself, and Asa will do the same.
Same.
Please continue to, if you feel like it, chat in the comments, and we'll kind of take a peek at those. But yeah, good luck writing. All right, can you hear me?
Are you still on mute?
Yep. There we go. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oof, okay. I have this sort of jury rigged, and so when we come back, I have to unmute in three different places so that everything works. But I am okay. I have some thoughts. And also, did you want to keep going, or did you want to kind of halt for now?
I've come to a good finishing writing place.
Perfect. Good. And I think I have too. It's interesting. I have some thoughts. When we did our workshop last week on Wild West flash fiction, I left off in the same place I think that I did right now. It's the center of the story, it's the hinge, and I have to do a little bit of thinking about what that hinge could be. Oh, good. Okay.
Yes.
I also noticed while I was writing this that I was making a series of very quick and very small decisions with every word. And I don't just mean choosing what word to put down, but using a word like I'm going to go back and kind of take a look here because um I would write a word so beautiful and then I would think, "Oh, well, how would the character think of this word? What would they use to describe it? And who is this person?" And so every word that I chose, and perhaps obvious in hindsight, but when you're going through it, it's such an interesting thing as your brain chooses different paths, different ways of saying things that create a sense of who the person is, even without describing them, if that makes sense.
I think so. Is your story in the first person?
My story is in third person, but it is told by a narrator about someone else.
I see. Okay.
So,
Yes, that is a classic model in these ghost stories.
how about you?
I'm feeling great. Just a quick hit on that hinge moment. I feel like this could
Mm,
be a useful pause. What Sarah's referring to there is a common kind of structural element frequently identified as a midpoint,
mm-hmm.
and it's really interesting because it's certainly in commercial work and even in independent, more literary work as well. You'll see a major turning point in the middle of a work, whether it's a movie, even an entire series of television or flash fiction. In the story we read earlier, this is not a ghost story. In the middle of that story is where the author breaks the fourth wall, comes through, and says this is a sad ghost
Mm.
story. So something to think about as you revise, as you write. Does your story go in a new direction halfway through? If so, that could be the right path. So yes, for me this was great. I Mine was really short. It came out really short. I finished. I got to the end of the story.
Whoa, that's
uh,
huge.
yeah, it was like a propulsive writing session. It only came out to 481 words, but it just kind of flowed out. I wrote it as a letter,
Mm,
sticking with the epistolatory theme. The one, as you know, the one I did for my Wild West was also a letter, and I feel good about it. I feel good about it. I felt loose, and what I wrote was far from what I've been thinking about in my
mm,
life, far from my conscious mind in recent days. And so I have trust that maybe it's strong because like what came up was from kind of some deeper places, like,
mm.
those places where we dream and where our hearts and souls are working underneath. So I feel good about it. I feel good about it. Anyone in the chat? Is anyone here who wrote did anyone write a story just now?
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. I'm looking over here at my chat, which unfortunately, due to my setup, I can't show, but I can tell you. It's interesting you said 481 words. Mike in our chat, um, right before we stopped, was like, "Oh man, um, I need to get another 450 or so words in, to make it to 1,000." And I think I also maybe got I'm a little bit of a slower writer. I think I got maybe about 300 words in. It's very interesting to me how the pacing works, how we use our time. Let's see. Mike says I finished and felt it was finished at 518 words myself. So
I think
yes.
that's great. I
Yeah.
mean, l- there's exquisite pieces of fiction that are very short. I think that today's. Let me just look at. I'm just to do a
Well, and
do
I
a
was going to
quick.
ask you, like, I should have done a word count for the sample story
Yeah,
we read. Is that what you're doing?
I'll do it right now. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
While you're doing that, I want to say also that, boy, I really appreciate how you said it sort of didn't come from anywhere purposeful or conscious necessarily, and that it came from somewhere deeper. Your story came from somewhere deeper. And I'm not going to remember now the word you used, but it really evoked something emotional and loving almost.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I love thinking about art as an act of devotion.
Mm,
I love that sort of concept that you have to love your characters, or even the villainous of villains.
yeah.
Just endow them with all your attention. There's like that adage: the greatest gift you can give someone is your attention. I think that's kind of true of making art and characters and place. The word count of "This Is Not His Ghost Story" by Corey Fahrenkolm is 505 words.
That makes a lot of sense. It
Five.
felt about that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So no, again, from a sort of professional or strategic place, if you're trying to submit this story for Flash Frog, this is a signal that, Mike, maybe your story is the perfect length.
Yeah.
I'm going to share to that end. They provided some tips. I went back to the submission website and they
Oh.
provided, like, if you want guidance. So I'll put that in the chat right now. This is just, I haven't read this yet,
Oh,
but
I
it's
did read
there.
that.
Oh, you did?
It was
Oh,
really
oh.
good.
It's not that short. What were some of your? Do you remember anything that you pulled from that was helpful?
I actually had it up already. And
Oh,
it kind of touched on, and this is something to think about as you're writing and submitting your stories, is each magazine is going to be looking for something a little bit different. And that's not to say that what you're writing is right or wrong. It's just what you're writing, does it fit and align with what the magazine is looking for? And so it was really interesting to me. I have it pulled up on my screen here now.
yeah. I don't know if you saw. I shared it. It's
Oh,
up.
you're so good. You're so
It's
good.
up.
And really, it's asking, what are you looking for in a submission? What turns you off in a submission? What do you look for in the opening paragraphs of submission? And, what in general is the tone of the Flash Frog uh, fictional, what am I saying? The Flash Frog sort of oeuvre, like what they're looking for, the flavor, the tone. And again, that's going to be specific to every single different magazine. So if your story is not a fit for the criteria here at Flash Frog, your story might be a great fit for somewhere else that's looking for a different tone.
Love, love, love. Yes, and just to say again, it's a numbers game with short fiction. Odds are we'll all get rejected here, but this
Yeah.
is the but certainly there will be another place that you can submit this story almost immediately. On their website, they say that they get back to you within a week,
Yeah.
usually.
Yeah.
So this is great, because we can send it back out into the submission verse. Submission Grinder, another
Mm,
potential
mhm,
resource for y'all. That is
mhm.
a really great site. That's how I learned about this contest, and you can track your submissions there. Highly recommended.
One
Sarah,
more oh, sorry.
yeah, go
One more
ahead, go
thing
ahead.
for me real quick is I've got some more comments here from viewers. Sarah says, "I also stopped at that hinge point. I'm trying to figure out how to convey my twist, and I'm writing by hand, so I have no idea how many words I have." Mike also says, "Today was the first time I typed a story rather than all the handwritten ones I've been working on." And Asa, did you handwrite? You can kind of see
That's a
here.
yes, sure. Yes, I did. I did. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that because that's kind of how my process. I freehanded as well. I wrote it, and then
Beautiful.
it was so short that I went and typed it. So just the way I label my labeling system here is the transcription of what I've written by hand. I
Mm.
identify as V0, version 0, and I copy it word for word, including errors.
Mm.
I
Oh,
I
that's
wanna
interesting.
I wanna see, like, exactly, like, if my brain was kind of, like, skipping to another place in the middle of a sentence, even though if it doesn't track. So, the instinct would be to you're kinda, like, auto editing as you type, but I try to be really strict and, like, exactly like a court reporter, what was said, and then I copy that doc, make a new version, and then start to clean it up, and that's how I begin my revision process.
Oh, that's fantastic. I love that. I love hearing about other people's processes because mine is so mine is so different. I'll write
What's
that
yours?
I'll write that draft 0, so you can see here, I held it up a little bit earlier. It's a few pages. I'm using the same notebook I used last week, just some clean, fresh pages. And I write, this is my draft 0. I will do another handwritten version of it with like arrows and spikes and all sorts of editorial mess all over it. And then when I type it, it's going to be close to what I'm eventually going to submit. So I think that's just really interesting how we work through like the I don't know, the putting down of words, the process.
For sure. Yeah, and everyone it's just something that I think everyone finds for
Yeah.
themselves over time.
But you were saying something earlier.
No, I think I was just thinking, I think that is all I have.
Did you want to
I
read us the
Oh,
first sentence of
yes,
your
yes, let's
piece
read
cuz
the first
I
sentence.
want to hear it.
Yes, okay. Yes. Or, so it's called Dear John. Dear John, yes, yes. What happened on the baseball field was sublime. I'm still sore, sweetheart.
That could go literally anywhere.
Wow, that's a great sign.
That could go anywhere. I love that. What made you choose the letter writing specifically?
I think it was just because I was in that mode from
Mm,
last week. It
mhm,
felt organic. And, my background is in playwriting. I've written two monologue plays before. And so it's comfortable.
mm.
And, I think that's for me kind of where I'm at and figuring what kind of writer I am as a fiction writer. Uh, that it's just a water that I can swim in with
Mm,
ease, which is as time passes, I'm challenging myself writing more and more in the limited third, these other POVs, first person, present. But a monologue is something that feels right for me. And it works, I think, for this length because I think it's so short, flash fiction, that you can sort of live in a more conversational dialogue-esque space without it becoming kind of distracting or tedious.
oh, I totally agree. I agree, and I appreciate that approach. And I really like that even though that's something that you're used to writing, you're still interested in exploring it further. And I don't know, I kind of I love that breaking out of it a little bit, but also using it to your advantage.
Yeah. Well, everyone, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. We've been so grateful for your presence, your contributions. Mike, everyone else over on Sarah's channel. We're
Oh,
going to be back next week. And who knows? Who knows what it'll be next week?
we don't know.
It could be another genre, it could be another ghost story. We're here for you, for us to motivate, write flash fiction, submit it, workshop it, improve our craft, harness our artistic selves, and it's been great. Sarah, do you want to sign off for us here?
Yeah.
Anything
Well,
else?
and also I'm excited. Mike in the comments over here says, I think I'm going to submit this one, which is
Yes,
exactly perfect. I love this. Again, the contest is over at Flash Frog, and the deadline to submit is, I believe, July 31st.
correct,
So
correct. They have
you've got a
You've
while.
got time, and there's several important. Read the instructions closely. Don't disqualify your story before giving it a chance. There's lots of specific submission instructions, so be sure to check those.
Yes. Oh, and Sarah says, thank you. I think I also have a story I'd like to try submitting. So you guys are amazing. Um,
Uh,
I love this. Asa, this has been such a delight to work with you, to collaborate with you. Oh, and there's the link. You can see it here at the bottom. If you're interested in submitting. Yep, again, this contest goes through July, and then after July, they begin to have open submissions again if that's something that you're interested in as well. I don't know if it's a ghost story theme necessarily, but
I think they do
something.
the ghost once a year, and then it
Okay.
goes back to general
Oh, perfect. So
general
kind of
flash.
a an October Halloween kind of vibe. So yeah, this has all been Asa's idea. I love this. I collaborating with you has been a delight. I'd love to keep doing these. Flash Fridays, no regrets. No excuses. We might have some regrets.
Or regrets.
I like no excuses. It gets me writing, and I have to say, I've found so much joy last session and this session in, I don't know, allowing myself out of the normal box of the enormous project that I've been working on for years. It just feels really good to be outside of that for a little bit and to explore other aspects of writing. So, thank you for this
Yeah.
opportunity.
Well, thank you for being here. I share all those sentiments. It's been a really rich little part of my life the last few weeks, and I think it will continue to be.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Subscribe to our channels, stay posted, and happy writing.
All right. Bye for now, everyone, and bye, Asa.
Bye.